My name is Elizabeth Kaye, and I'm going to read from my memoir, 7 Men, subtitled Memories of an Unconventional Love Life. From the time I became a writer, I was compelled to write about men. I would like to tell you it was a choice, but in fact it was an obsession, and while I assumed there must be a reason for it, I had no idea what that reason was. The truth is, I wasn't seeking a reason. But had I been, I might have looked to the black and white photograph, securely pinned to a corkboard above my desk. In this picture, I am 4 years old and standing beside my first boyfriend, Lee Kingsmill, a curly-haired, freckle-faced kid who was 5 at the time. I'm wearing overalls, I have a Buster Brown haircut, and I'm holding what appears to be an Oreo cookie in one hand. Lee is a lot taller than me. His arm is slung around my shoulder, and I'm looking up at him with an adoring expression and a smile so broad it looks as if my face is about to burst. Initially, the appeal of this picture was its cuteness factor, and I failed to deduce the obvious. Before I believed in much of anything, I believed that being with a boy equates with being happy. And so, from my early teens, there were many boys, and many of them made me happy. At first, if not at last. There was the boy who taught me to smoke Camel cigarettes, the one who gave me a wristlet corsage of cymbidium scarlet orchids, the one who gave me my first kiss, my first heartache, my first sip of Jack Daniels. I picture them, 14, 15, 16 years old, boys whose images remain oddly indelible even now, having long since been spliced into the cumbersome reel that runs every so often on a loop in my mind, presenting a cavalcade of teenaged hopes gone sour. Because of those early misalliances, I entered my 20s, having lost the childish faith that people always mean what they say and promises are always kept, and being loyal to someone assures they'll be loyal back. The result was an anxiety memorialized in a note I wrote to myself in my early 20s, scrawled on pink paper in purple ink. It reads, "Don't forget to pack silver stockings." In the uneasy realm I had come to inhabit, talismans were necessary, and betrayal and heartache could be kept at bay only if I remembered to pack the silver stockings. It seems to me now that writing about men was a way to venture into what had come to seem infinitely desirable yet hostile territory, all the while safely fortified with a ballpoint pen, a Panasonic mini tape recorder, and an assignment from Esquire. Many of the men I wrote about were film stars, which meant I spent an inordinate amount of time with men in circumstances that were effectively mutually purposeful encounters designed to resemble real life. These contrivances took many diverting forms: hiking through the sun-parched hills of the Ojai Valley, strolling on Mackinac Island through white cedars and lilac bushes, dining in the otherwise empty dining room of the One Good Hotel in El Paso, Texas, sharing a barbecue pizza in a recording studio in Memphis, riding on the rear seat of a motorcycle through the narrow thoroughfares of Notting Hill Gate. It made for an interesting, if rather odd life, a play of many acts in which the leading man was always attractive and always changing. If I were making a film of it, the opening sequence would have me walking into a London restaurant with Anthony Hopkins and exiting the same establishment 3 years later with Jeremy Irons. These were years when magazine articles ran at great lengths and in sufficient detail that we felt free to flatter ourselves by describing them as definitive. Reporting them took many weeks, often months, and for this considerable duration, I had a Zelig-like connection to the actor's pampered, rarefied world, where beauty begets money and money begets power, and where principles are lavished with an unequivocal adoration the less illustrious can expect to garner only as newborns. It was not a world I belonged in, though I could get by. I could wear the right clothes and eat with the right fork and ask reasonably thoughtful questions and know to whom the actors were referring when they mentioned Ismail or Marty. These were useful faculties, and I relied on them, yet I always felt I was traveling on a visa. Still, there was something compelling and elevated about these encounters, for fame changes things. It alters whatever is around it, as surely adding a great splash of turquoise or magenta to a painting refashions the appearance of every other color on the canvas. Fame is an intoxicant, a form of energy. It is power in its most distilled, immediate form. It animates everyone who comes into contact with it, and being with someone who brings this enchantment about makes you feel bigger and bolder and sometimes transformed. In that sense, the person I became when spending time with these men was someone who existed only in their presence. I liked being that person for the same reasons that I was partial to double espressos and the seventh game of the World Series and the grand finale of fireworks displays. And that is why I stubbornly refused to relinquish her, for better and for worse.